guys, I'm Eliza Wood, this is my channel, and let's talk about history-bounding corsets. Oof, got a little cow's lick there. Oh well, it's there now. Not fixing it. Alright, so recently I have this grand idea of a cosplay that I want to make for The Lord of the Rings. But I'm also feeling bummed out by all of my projects recently because they've all been cosplay, which means I can't wear them on the day-to-day. And honestly, I hate my wardrobe. Like, I don't really have anything that I can wear that I enjoy wearing. And I've tried the whole going to the Goodwills and stuff like that. But apparently I suck at being able to pick that stuff out, or I live in an area that they do not have what I am looking for, because I can never find anything at a DIY store. So I kind of have to make my own if I want to do my kind of fashion. So what I decided I was going to do is this cosplay needs a structure piece, which is somewhat corset-like. So I think I'm going to make it so that I can wear that piece outside of the cosplay and still have it be like an everyday wear. So that's my plan for this corset. I should say the Lord of the Rings cosplay that I'm doing is a female Aragorn coronation. Hopefully I'll be able to post more about that soon, but apparently I'm not very good at part-wise videos. So if I have any more videos on that, it will be in the description below. Otherwise, I'm just happy that I'm able to get this corset out. So, but back to what I actually want to do, which is the corset. So my plan for this is a corset that kind of combines history bounding with cosplay, with fan clothing, and just kind of looking like a hobbit-y sort of thing. So if you look at the hobbit females, they have a the bodice of their dresses are somewhat corset-like. I'm pretty sure that they didn't actually wear corsets in the dresses in the movie, but I don't know if historically it would have been a corset. I was looking at that as kind of my inspiration of what type of corset I wanted to make so that I have the correct shape for the movie. But for the rest of it, I think I'm just gonna make a fan corset. So that's the plan for this one.
Hello, Baron. Hi. Okay. But for the corset piece, or the structure, I'm thinking about doing this corset here. I would show you the picture that I'm currently covering, but she's got her nipples showing. So I don't want to do that and get in trouble by YouTube. So I'm just going to continue to keep that covered. But that's kind of why I like this corset, because it'll be relatively low, and I think I can probably lower the back to the point that I can still have my low back dress without it looking weird. And also the other thing I like, hold on, I gotta move things around. Hi, Baron. He's liking the rubber band that's on my wrist. Okay. The other thing I like about this corset is it's got a lot of boning in it. However, it doesn't have as much boning as some of the other corsets. Like, it's got lots of space that's kind of just left open. That'll hopefully give me some structure, because of the lower back will take away some of the structure that I would like to have. Baron. But it won't make it so that it is so boned. Like, I won't be spending so much money on boning. I think probably what I'll wind up doing with boning is zip ties, except for there's a couple darker strips right here that they say is a stiffer baleen. So I probably will use whatever I have left of my synthetic whalebone. And then this here is the front closure. I'm not sure what I'm going to use about that, because if you see here, it's actually a tied front. So going back to the original, let's see. You see how in the front here it's got this like little V, allowing you to close it or leave it open as much as you want. The other thing that'll allow is if I want to have a little bit of a dip in the front of the red dress, I can just not tie this as high as I would normally, and then the dip would be kind of in this little crevice here. At least that's my hope. So I can't use anything like a spoon busk or anything like that. I have to use some sort of strong boning. I might wind up getting, just for these two spots, some steel boning. Now this is a tied in the back corset, which is what I was wanting to avoid, but I'm used to tying corsets in the back, so it's not the end of the world. And I think that if I had too much ties in the front anyway, I'd probably have a little too much texture in the front. Like, this boning is probably going to show through on the dress a little bit. I'm hoping maybe if I get like a thicker dress material that's not totally skin tight, it'll be okay. Now the other thing that I'm trying to decide on, I think probably I've made my decision, but I'm going back and forth on it, is this is a strap. It's a boned strap, which I think is very interesting. I'm not sure I want to do a strap on this corset. I think that the strap will be unnecessary, because if you look at, let's see, is it the next page? Nope, one more page. If you look at this corset here, it does not have any straps and still works. However, this one has a pretty high back and is very boned. Like, there's a bone everywhere on this one, which is something I want to avoid. So I don't know if the strap is going to be necessary. I might try to do it without the strap, and if it's not sitting right, try it with the strap, because I really don't want to put the strap in and have even more bulk under the pauldron that I'm gonna have to, that's gonna make me look like I have the widest shoulders ever. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try to do. It'll be interesting. So one thing I want to keep in mind is the low back corset. I have in the past actually made a low back corset that was an over bust, but it had a low back. The over bust did absolutely nothing, because there was nothing to the structure at that point. Like, it tied tight on the waist, but not the bust. And I'm okay with that, because this particular garment, I actually don't want it to cover the bust. It's going to be kind of mid-bust, like just kind of push the girls up without actually covering them. So I think it should be okay. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. So I think it should be okay as long as I have a little bit. I don't think I'm going to have my back be too low anyway, as much as I would love to have it all the way down to like my hips. I don't have the back for that. I don't want to show off that much of my back. So I'll probably do kind of about just under the shoulder blades. All I could think was the wing bones. And hopefully that'll be good.
Okay, so first things first, we gotta draft the corset, which apparently my assistant thinks is not that interesting, so he's gonna go ahead and hang out just to improve the view. Now, the method I'm going to use to do this draft is called the arc method. It's in the Patterns of Fashion book that I'm using. As you can see, it's sitting in front of me. But I'll go ahead and post a picture on the left here of what I'm looking at. Now, I'm only showing the pattern, what it looks like, because I'm not really sure how much I can show of it, just because I don't want to be accused of stealing anything or anything like that. So the arc method is kind of just as it sounds. It's you first do a horizontal line, and then you kind of do some diagonal lines, and then you arc your waist and your hips and your bust line, so that instead of doing all of your measurements on a straight line like we're used to, you would actually do them on an arc line. Now, I say all this, but I think it's magic. Like, I could not figure it out. I read the book, I watched some videos, and all I eventually boiled down to is guesswork. I thought, oh, well, this looks good enough, and continued on. However, I want to at least give you guys the ability to do it correctly, so I did find a YouTube video of someone specifically doing the arc method from Patterns of Fashion 5, and she talks you through it and kind of explains how it works and all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and leave her to explain how to do the arc method. And to extra confuse you guys, I have lines at the top there that you can probably see. That's from my first attempt at drafting this corset, because I first tried to do it on the straight line and also couldn't figure that out. So then I went on to the arc method, which is the bottom half that I'm currently working on, and unfortunately is really, really hard to see. Alright, so now that I have my initial arc down from the pattern at the end of the book, I've actually switched over to the corset that I'm actually trying to make, so I can base what I'm drawing with the side seams and the panels and all that stuff based on the picture from the corset I'm actually trying to make, rather than the corset that the book wants you to make. So in order to do this, I'm actually adding another side seam. I believe that the one from the back of the book is actually only 3 panels, whereas the one I'm trying to make is 4 panels. That means I do have to alter where exactly I'm taking out the measurements to make my waist come in, but again, this is all real guesswork. I'm just trying to kind of guess my way through everything. So just now I drew the back of the corset, and as you saw, I very much cut down through the side seams. That's because, again, I wanted that lower back, so I went ahead and just kind of drew it low. And now I'm working on making my little, oh goodness, I can never remember what those things are called. The little tabs at the bottom of the corset. I'm not really sure what those are even for. I mean, they're in a lot of these historical corsets, but honestly, I don't know. My guess is that maybe they're for the, you know how with a straight line corset, sometimes you get that pudge that just kind of sticks out under the corset because the corset's constricting you, and that little bit underneath the corset just doesn't want to be constricted. Of course, this is totally my guess and not actually based on any historical fact again. Oh look, it's my supervisor coming to make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing correctly. All right, back to what I'm doing. So what I'm doing now is I'm measuring each of the side seams and just kind of making sure that they're about right, about the same length as the one next to it. The reason for this is because you don't want your side seams to overlap and have too much on one and not enough on another. You're going to have some constriction or some wrinkling. Now, I didn't do too much to make those perfect because I just figured I would let, if I went over on one seam, then I would just let it go off to the top, off of the top, and then I could take out whatever I needed of that pattern piece. And now I'm just drafting out that little leaf piece at the bottom. I'm just copying the piece that's on the book. I'm not trying to measure anything specifically. I'm sizing up the piece that's in the book. I'm not doing it based on my own measurements. Phew, that was a lot more film than I really was expecting to have to edit. But now that we have drafted our pattern, we can move on to the actual sewing. Of course, I'm not going to start with my final fabric. I'm going to go ahead and start with, I believe this is Kona cotton. It's just whatever the kind of mock-up fabric is that you can get at Joann's. I usually like to get the 118-inch fabric, just so that I have a lot of it, and if ever I do need to make something like a large skirt, I have a wide variety of it. And as usual, you can't see anything. Honestly, I don't really know how to do better at the angle. I really need to get like a new camera or some sort of setup. So if you guys have any recommendations on cameras or a stand for my phone that would help me get a better angle on this to help with the view so you can actually see what's going on, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll have to tell myself in the future, stop using pencil. Not visible at all. But enough of my complaining, let's get back to the pattern pieces. So all I'm doing right now is I'm tracing them out, not doing too much of trying to get them close together. As long as I can have enough room for, I believe I had a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is what I'm putting on right now. I'm just using this ruler to measure out my 1/2 inch seam allowance, which takes a minute because of all the curves. And my little assistant here has come to my rescue once again to try to make this video a little more interesting.
So right now what we're doing is cutting out patterns, and I was being stupid and trying to cut it out with sewing scissors, which were dull, by the way, because I don't know where my good sewing scissors are. So instead I pulled out the cutting mat that I stole from my mother a little while ago, and I still have to return it to her, but I still have to buy myself one, so I keep forgetting to do it. So now I'm doing a rotary cutter, I think is what those things are called. And I do have to put this out there right now. Please do not use my method of using a rotary cutter. As you can see, I have pointed it towards my hand multiple times. Apparently I'm a crazy person, but I am being very cautious about my fingers, so don't do what I do. Use it correctly. Point it away from your skin. Don't cut off your fingers. And now for actual sewing. Crazy. The sewing machine is out and everything. Alright, so right now I'm actually pinning together 4 layers of fabric in order to get 2 layers that I can make my boning into. I later found out that it's actually probably better to do each layer separately. So you would do 2 layers of fabric, and then at the very end, you would put all the layers together as 1 layer of fabric. One of the reasons for doing this is like when you put that little leaf piece in, you're actually closing off the ability to put a bone through the leaf all the way to the top, which I think would have been a much better way of doing it, but we'll know that for the future. So right now I'm just kind of doing a stitch along the top of the corset, and then I will put the bones in a minute, but this is just so that I have at least one edge of the corset that is closed off, so that when I do put the bones in, they aren't going to come off one side or the other. And finally, the boning channels. Now there's a couple of ways of doing boning channels. The way that I'm doing it is, since I did the 2 layers of fabric, I'm just sewing the boning channels into the fabric. But you could also put boning channels, like actual channels for bones, onto the fabric if you only had 1 layer of fabric instead of the 2 that I'm using.
Alright, so this is my mock-up of the corset. I am actually really surprised. The only issue I'm having is there's a little bit of gaping here, but I think it might be because there's no strap. So once I put a strap in, which I think I'm probably gonna put right here, and it pulls tight, I think I shouldn't have any gaping. And it actually is giving me a little bit of a lift, which is what I was hoping for. And it's not too tight. Usually I would like to have a little bit more taking it in. This is a fully closed corset. It is a little bit wrinkled, but I haven't actually fully boned it. So it'll be a little bit smaller because of all of the boning that's gonna go in. And I'm hoping that that wrinkling will go away too once I get the boning in. But I think this is pretty much exactly what it needs to look like. I'm gonna try putting on the strap and see if that fixes the little bit of gaping at the top, and probably won't even have to alter it. So that's really nice. So this is the back. It is a low cut back, which is what I was wanting. It's a little loose. I could probably tighten it, but I didn't want to try too hard. So you see it's fully closed in the back. I'm not really expecting it to be able to have too much taking in capability because it's such a small corset. It's pretty much an underbust corset. and the hips are non-existent because they're just these tabbed bits, but I am happy with it. Like, it's exactly what I was hoping for. So that is awesome. The other thing is I was noticing, I don't think you can see it that well, so I'll probably have to put a picture in, but there's this piece right here. It's a little, I want to say it's a godette, but I don't think that's right. It's a little piece that they put in to widen out the hip, which is really nice. It helps a lot, but it's kind of the shape of a leaf. So I'm thinking I might try to, if I can find my Lord of the Rings fabric, do Lord of the Rings fabric for the whole corset, and then just do a little leaf just right there in that little spot, and that'll be like the Lothlorien leaf. So that's what I have so far, and I haven't actually done anything about the cutting these pieces short, because I knew I was not gonna, this was not my final draft, and I wasn't gonna want to try to figure out all of the boning situation. The only thing is, so this is, let's see, this is where my waist should be, so my where I've tied it in front is actually where my waist should be, so that's good. But I always think that, like, I feel like it should go down further. I don't know, that could just be a me thing, because I don't want it to go down too far, because then I lose this part, and I think it's fine. I think I really, really like the look of it. It's sitting fine. It's just a little bit wrinkly, which I think will go away once I've gotten the bones in. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to figure out this strap situation so I can try this on again. All right, so I've added the strap. It's a little loose at the top, but that's not taking into account the fact that I have to put some seam allowance in. I do think I need to fix that though. It's a little too loose. I think I made it too straight. It needs a bit more of a curve into it. And now that I have the strap attached, we actually do have some gaping here in the side that I'm gonna need to take in a little bit. But I'm still really happy with the fit. I was really hoping this first draft would be good enough, but can't all have what we were hoping for. The other thing is I did cut off the little bit of a curve that was at the top of this corset, only because trying to put a strap onto the curve would have been a pain in the butt. So I figured just have the curve and it'll be fine. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I haven't quite decided if I want to try to like bring this down a little bit, like kind of do that sort of thing, or because that'll tighten up my shoulder as well, or if I want to like bring it back in the side. So I'm gonna do a little bit of playing around with some pinning and try to figure this out. But honestly, I am loving the way it's fitting so far, so hopefully it won't take too much more finessing to fix it up. All right, one issue down. I put a little dart in where this seam is, 3/4 inch on both sides, so probably more than I needed to, but it's okay. It's not gonna change anything. Just gonna make it a little tighter at the bust, which I'm okay with, so meh. I don't know if you can see, whoop, not with my hand in the way. I also did, oof, I don't like that does that. I might have to move this strap over more. I don't want to because I want that low back, but my hair's in the way. But I don't like that it's doing this kind of dipping thing. Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting that's just gonna go away. Okay, anyway, so I did kind of angle this a little bit more so that it would stay a little bit better, which I can't honestly tell if that fixed anything, because it's just not sitting right. I have slanted shoulders, which makes it really hard to get things to sit right. But now I am seeing, now that I've fixed the side gape, I'm seeing a little bit of a front gape now. So I'm thinking, I don't know, like I need to figure out a way to get my shoulder strap to sit farther over. So I might have to tighten this a little bit. Just kind of do that maybe. I don't know how much of this has been blurry. So maybe if I like tighten here, make this a bit shorter, that'll help. I'm still getting this kind of popping up on the side, but honestly, that might be seam allowance. I don't know. I think that's gonna be enough for today. I think I'll probably pin this piece and maybe sew it, but I don't think I'm gonna try it on again because at this point, you know, too many try-ons and then you're gonna get confused and mess things up. So try not to lose my little thing while I'm stopping. Okay, so I lied. I tried again, but the reason is I actually looked at the pattern on the book that I'm taking this from, and it turns out that I accidentally put, there's one side of the strap is supposed to be straight and the other side is supposed to be curved. I put the straight edge on the outside and the curved edge on the inside, and it turns out the straight edge is supposed to be on the inside and the curved edge is supposed to be on the outside. So that is already really helping. Like you can see that gaping shoulder is gone. It's a little loose, but I had to do it on the other side because I was just done with this strap, so I didn't want to deal with that strap anymore. I might take that strap off and put it back on backwards, just to see if these other alterations that I did are still good, because I think since the strap was wrong, it might have been holding the piece wrong, which would then alter all the alterations. But on this side, I can still see that there's this gapping here that needs to go away. So I'm hoping that maybe if I take this strap off and put it back on the right way, this alterations that I've already done on this one will actually be acceptable. Although now that I'm looking at it, it looks a little weird. Maybe I'll take that one out. Although this, actually I think this piece looks just fine. And over here it looks a little weird. So I wonder if I should just take out a little bit of maybe just take this in a little bit more. Hold on, I'm gonna try something. I haven't changed anything because I tucked myself a little bit better. There's still a little bit of a gape, but I think that's mostly just the edge. So I might just leave it loose. Honestly, it's not like really, maybe take like a little bit off of just this one piece, just a little tiny bit. Because like this is not actually that bad. Like it's gaping, but like not horribly so. Although I don't like that it's sticking out like that. Yeah, maybe take off like a 1/2 inch. Maybe not even, probably 1/2 inch. Because the other thing I need to consider is that I still haven't fully boned this corset. So some of this space that I do actually have is going to go away. But I don't think there's too much boning up in here that would get rid of this. But for the most part, I am happy with the, go back to my face. I'm happy with my strap. It's pretty much staying in place, and I think it'll stay better once it's got the boning in. Which I haven't decided if the boning needs to go like all the way through the corset, all the way to the back. I don't know. It kind of looked like it did in the draft, but I don't know. I mean, that would keep it up better, so we'll see. We'll figure it out. I think I might have to get more bones though, because I don't think I have enough. Because I can use these bones for the most part, but like if I'm gonna do one that's all the way up to the top through the sleeve, these are not long enough for that, and I don't know where my bones are, if I have any left. So we'll see. All right, there it is. I think I might still move the back strap a little bit farther back, just because it's still kind of pulling it off of my shoulder, but everything else is really well fitted. There's still a little bit of gapping just on the sides here, even though I took out a little bit of that that pattern piece, but I think it's okay to have just a little bit of room, because again, that's going to be taken away, and that gives me more room to shift some stuff a little bit. But everything else is fitting just fine. It looks really good. I've ripped this part, but that's okay. I'm so excited. Yeah. Now, originally I had planned on doing this as one video, but apparently I can't because I made it too long, and so the drafting is going to be this part, and then the actual corset make is going to be the next part. But it's fine, it's okay. So apparently I forgot to film the whole outro, so I'm just before going to bed, the night before I wanted to post this, filming this part so I can actually get it out and edited. But just wanted to say thank y'all for coming. I hope you enjoyed, and please like, subscribe, and also if you have any suggestions on how I could improve, whether it be with YouTube or with sewing, then I would greatly appreciate it, especially you guys who actually know how to historically sew things. I don't know how to historically sew, and so I think my mock-up might not be exactly what it's supposed to be. So yeah, I would greatly appreciate any tips you guys might have to give me, and anyone else who might be looking at this video, they can also look at the comments and hopefully get some tips. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.